Free energy now.
Imagine a world in which each home has its own power generator that obtains its energy in such a way that no fuel has to be added. Imagine every vehicle being able to run without ever stopping for fuel. Imagine each appliance having its own power source that never has to be recharged. That is the world of the future. Join with us now as we track our progress towards such a world.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Sterling Allen. You can join us online at freeenergyquest.com or freeenergynow.net. We're joined today, July 3rd, 2014, by Dave Parker of freeenergyparty.org in the United States. We will be talking about underground manufacturing as an alternative method for rolling technology to the market. Also talking about fuel efficiency technology and talking about the Free Energy Party as a serious endeavor. But first, before we get into that, let's do our This Week in Free Energy recap. Heading the news this week is a story that I don't yet have linked up, that is composed, is being reviewed by the company for their final approval and edits. You are being the first to hear this on this program right now, one of the most important developments we have ever announced. New third-party test results on solar hydrogen trends shows over 1,000 times over Unity. Solar Hydrogen Trends just got their third set of third-party test results on their hydrogen production from water technology. A world-class engineering firm, one of the top 20-30 engineering firms on the planet, measured 97% hydrogen output from water input, which means some of the oxygen, or most of the oxygen, is going to hydrogen through some kind of a nuclear process. And much more than 2,800 liters per minute output from just 414 watts input, making this perhaps the most promising technology on the planet. That will be up at PESN with the date July 3rd, 2014, appropriate inasmuch as Thomas Jefferson penned the Declaration of Independence on July 2nd, and they received their results on July 2nd, 2014. Also, our guest today is appropriate for the July 4th period of time, which is tomorrow, talking about the Free Energy Party. Again, that will be after this Week in Free Energy recap. As a follow-up from last week's interview on this program, Martin Berger of Blue Energy Alchemy said, quote, "I made gold for the Oslo investors. Quote, I believe I'll have $10 million closed before August. That will be more than enough to get into a forward selling points, so we're producing bars of gold at a rate that we'll be able to self-finance." Exciting stuff. That's also probably involving nuclear transmutation in that alchemical process, turning beer bottles as a basically catalytic process into gold and other precious metals through a microwave and temperature process. Fascinating stuff. You want to go listen to that interview from last week. Ultraconductors resurfacing, polymer equivalents of room temperature superconductors. Quote, "We have realized we can make ultraconductor tape as an interim product within 2 years with a budget of $10 million. Also, we have invented a potential near-term product based on the thin film we already know how to fabricate," says Mark Goldis. This is a technology that's been percolating for 15, 20 years. I was looking at some of their third-party test results from the Department of Defense and others from 2 decades ago, and those are available to interested parties. Just ask and he'll send them to you. Resurrecting Oleg Gritskyevich, hydromagnetic dynamo. out of Russia 22 years before Pons and Fleischmann. The first cold fusion device prototype was constructed, and other cool technologies from this very prolific inventor. Go check out that feature page on that website. Storn, which has been in our top 5 for years, posted a video of them fabricating some of their HEPA heat units where they're getting over unity heat more energy out than input because it's harnessing the will work of nature. You want to check out that video. Platinum Invest, also one of our top 5, could get a new sponsor. Lazio, apparently a big name in Europe. Not familiar to me here in the United States. Check out those stories. And we fell for a perpetual pendulum for a day or so. It looked interesting. It seemed to have a working prototype. And I asked the question of, I'd like to see this thing to rule out any trickery. And somebody pointed out that the guys who post these videos, VE Project 1, the number 1 on YouTube, post them as hoaxes, and they state as much on their website, that they're basically just pulling our legs, having fun, seeing who will fall for it. And yeah, I'm a sucker sometimes, but it didn't last long. Thanks to our alert readers, that was pointed out within the first 24 hours of us posting that with question marks, I want to add. Off topic from energy in this particular case, but this inventor has been involved in the low-energy nuclear reaction, also known as cold fusion sector. The world's first commercial-scale ocean pasture restoration has been a phenomenal success. This summer, 2014, the Pacific Salmon Commission projections are advising that this year's Fraser River Stockeye salmon runs will be at the all-time historic highs, twice the previous record of 1900, thanks to ocean pasture seeding process using iron-bearing dust by Russ George's company, Ocean Pastures. Phenomenal solutions coming to the planet as we awake and arise and put on strength as the God creatures that we are. And I also posted a link to an interesting quotation from Henry Kissinger saying in 1991 at the Bilderberg Conference, "Today, Americans would be outraged if UN troops entered Los Angeles to restore order. Tomorrow, they will be grateful." Talks about false flag operations. He doesn't call them that, to basically bring these unnamed threats to scare people to death so they'll do anything. And basically an insider telling the guys how to do it, how to sucker the people into tyranny. And we're not going to take it. That concludes this Week in Free Energy wrap-up. We are now ready to turn over to our guest, Dave Parker of freeenergyparty.org. Dave, welcome to the show.
What a tremendously exciting intro that was.
Exciting stuff going on, no doubt. And you have taken the initiative of launching a political party. This is a bona fide political party in the United States that you can, put on the ballot per the edicts that different states have to get on the ballot, to get candidates on the ballot for elections. Let's talk about that.
That's correct. I think I do better if you ask specific questions. That way I won't feel like I have to cover too much territory, but I'm happy to tell you just anything you ask.
Well, let's first talk about the incorporation, so to speak, of the party as an organization. Right. This is a political party, and where is it out of?
Well, we faced a unique challenge with the Free Energy Party, following the example of great men like yourself, holding some of these precious values. We've noticed that they were not getting into the political process, of course. And so somehow the people have to keep They have to keep the people, the monopolies would have to keep the people kind of entertained or distracted or somehow in a daze so that these things are not requisite in modern politics today. And so it was very important to us to create the Free Energy Party tripod: free energy, cures for diseases, and organic permaculture, as a way to get a new expectation in the earth for these things to be in politics instead of politics being for sale by monopolies, the revolving door, the purchase of government. We know we would be upset if someone bribes a police officer. Someone would go to jail for that in America. Maybe not in a banana republic country, but in America, the policeman would most likely arrest you. And so it's just not done. But it is done in Washington, D.C. So when we went into this, we realized we had to make some moves with that kind of environment on a backdrop of monopolistic suppression of technology and free energy and world improvement technology. We see that the Sheraton Act and the Clayton Act and these kind of antitrust laws are not being put into practice. And so we realize that we're coming into a very frightening environment. So to answer your, and I don't mean frightening, but we have to be realistic about it. To answer your question, if you went into I'm just setting the stage to answer your question very directly. If we went into a cave where a mother bear was protecting, I didn't make it back to my desk before you called. I'm like driving a pickup in thick traffic. So if you hear any loud crashes, we'll try to keep the show going. Anyway, if you go into a mother bear's cave and you say, well, I'm going to take your cub, and there's nothing you can do, well, you'll probably get shredded to pieces. So we have to be a little bit more intelligent than that. We have to understand that monopolies do what monopolies do, and that this is what monopolies do. So when we went to the stage of incorporating, we realized that there's several levels of legality. The Federal Election Commission said, if anyone uses your name, we will slam dunk them. And then they came back to me with that information, and I said, well, that's not enough. From the business law that I've studied, corporate law is also a reality where in the Secretary of State's office in all of our states, if you save a name, you've got that name. And so we went about incorporating in all the states, just so that we could offset any kind of false flag kind of use of our name by saying, well, that not only is not us, and we've got proof that that's not us, but guess what? They're using the name illegally. And so we were dotting our I's and crossing our T's multiple times. And as far as answering the question, how legitimate of a party it is, well, it's absolutely legal. It's absolutely the only one of its type in history. And it's something that I've always thought that you yourself would have done if you would have had maybe the time or the assistance. And I will give you a little bit. Yeah, I think it is from listening to everything that you've that I've read about you. I'll give you a unique background piece of information that I haven't informed anyone of, just so that it's a revelation on your show as the first time. The Free Energy Party was formed with the assistance of Linda Smith Johnson, who was working with me to form it. She was living in Virginia and commuting to Washington and working as the personal assistant for Steve, the CEO of the Tea Party. Although Linda believed in libertarianism as a personal, she was a girl Friday for all of these people, including Republican Party leaders, and she went to the Ryan before she passed, before she crossed over from pancreatic cancer, which, by the way, the doctors killed her. The herbs that she was taking were shrinking her cancer, and it was working, but they outright lied to her and were giving her rat poison dosages of fluoride mixed with uracil called fluorouracil, and they lied to her. And she called me and she says, Dave, I always said that if I ever had cancer or anything like that, I would go to you. Listening to all the programs you did with the main health show, featuring health radio program, and reading the newspaper that you wrote, and so inspired by your health contributions on cures for diseases at Free Energy Party. I would travel wherever you're at, and I know that I would get well from that cancer. But this doctor, he put his hand on my face and he said, look, I love you. We've got a 87% cure, a breakthrough, a new drug, a breakthrough. And I said, Linda, doctors don't work that way. Doctors don't peddle cures. And so something's wrong. I said, get me the name of that. And she got me the name of it. I said, Linda, I looked that up, and that's a drug that is like 100% killer. That kills everybody dead, and it's been around since 1978, and it's not a breakthrough whatsoever at all. She said, oh, there has to be something wrong. He's such a sweet man. He really cares about me. And my daughter is a nurse, and she told me to cooperate with him. And I said, Linda, get me, she said, it must be another drug. I said, then get me the name of that drug. And they gave her a 6-month lifespan, and about 5.5 months she sent me her medical profile because she realized she was dying, but it was not from the pancreatic cancer. The fluorouracil, the rat poison strength fluoride, was truly killing her. And she sent it to me, and I said, Linda, you just held out all this time. You've spent all this time, 5.5 months, not giving me any more information about this drug, under the pressure of your family and your friends and this doctor. And now I must tell you, that's the drug. It's the one I told you. That's all they're giving you. That's all they've been giving you. That's what's making. She died in about 2 weeks. Anyway, Linda was the personal assistant of Steve, the CEO of the Tea Party. And she played a tape. It was an interesting tape. It was a little speech I did as a test for the sound and the lights. I had been a professional singer most of my life, as well as doing talk radio and a few other things like this. And I wanted to get the lighting and the sound right before I started recording any material. And so I did a little speech. I just made it up on the spot. And I wanted to purposely go from low to high just to test the sound. And so I started real quiet and then got real shrill on the end. And she played that at the Ryan convention. And all of the Texas Republican women groups started jumping up and down because she was playing it. She put it on the speaker or whatever. I don't know what she did, but she said she was playing it where everybody could hear it. And she said, is that okay with you? She said, they went nuts. I said, really? Tell me more. She said, well, there are just whole groups of women from Texas. And I told them that you were from Texas and that we played this. And when it got to the part of you saying we were going to throw the political whores out of Washington, she said they all started screaming and hollering, went nuts. And so she said, I had a guy that we know as a very famous billionaire approach me and wanted more information. And then later she apparently had lunch with him, and he said that he felt like that we were the only third party based upon our principles and our stand, and the fact that he did not have any oil or big pharma investments, that he would like to be involved if we got that far. And so it appears to me that we have very legitimate roots. But I want to say that with her view as herself being a libertarian, she was shocked when I told her that David Koch was the vice president of the Libertarian candidate for the Libertarian Party in 1980, and that I told her a lot more information about how that, the monopoly left versus the monopoly right, one choreographed by Soros and one choreographed by Koch, both of them billionaire petrochemical partners. And so she became very passionate about telling some of these insider pieces of information to the people that she knew, even in the Libertarian Party, that had no idea. They just had no idea. And that doesn't mean that the Libertarian Party is bad. It's just that a lot of these parties get co-opted a little bit, and then all of the innocent people involved don't even know about it. They don't even know sometimes that they're getting funding to take certain positions and this kind of thing. And so we sort of have a list of how the left have a set of positions that have been kind of paid for by George Soros, and how the conservatives there's a list of positions that are paid for by Koch. And so it's altogether a situation where we need a true independent party, and it's time for one, and people feel it all over the nation. But coming up with a viable one, we just haven't really seen one. Sweet Jill Stein proposed, well, let's get rid of all mortgages. They didn't do that in Iceland. They got rid of gouging interest over 110% of the value of the property. You say you're going to get rid of mortgages, then that's a George Soros plan where you have communist monopoly communism where you get rid of private property.
Yeah, when we come back from break, I want to talk about something that I did. I started a Reminiscent Intercontinental Congress for a world political body as an answer to the United Nations. I think it might be useful for what you're doing here.
Great interest. I'm in that. Wonderful.
Fascinating, informative, and unique program on radio. The Jeff Rense program can be yours to listen to anytime, anywhere, whenever you want to hear it. For pennies a day, our subscribers can download any of Jeff's thousands of programs featuring a treasury of newsmakers, researchers, eyewitnesses, and incredible subjects, all in MP3 commercial-free, crystal-clear 56-bit digital sound, and take these often unforgettable programs with them wherever they go. As a subscriber, you can also listen live at airtime, online, anywhere in the world, or browse through our archives of over 6,000 hours of legendary broadcasts. Subscribe now by taking the link at the top of Rense.com and enrich your mind with the most unique panorama of vital information and the best independent, honest journalism in radio. Look for the Subscribe Now link on Rense.com and give yourself the knowledge you need for these unprecedented times.
Presently, the number one technology in our top 5 exotic free energy technologies listing at top5energy.com is what we call hydroxy technology, in which onboard electrolysis creates oxygen and hydrogen. Unseparated, it's also called Brown's gas, or HHO. By then adding this to the fuel, the mileage and horsepower of an engine can be significantly improved while reducing emissions. One of the reasons for this is that Brown's gas breaks down the larger chain fuel molecules so they can be utilized and not exhausted, unburned. There are many companies worldwide that are making and selling these hydroxy systems. We've compiled a list for you at besthydroxytechnologies.com. When you find one you like, be sure to tell them that Sterling Allen of PES referred you. Again, that's besthydroxytechnologies.com.
Hi, this is Jeff Rense. Royal Raymond Rife was without question the most gifted medical scientific genius of our age. He discovered that most disease-related microbes die quickly when exposed to their own specialized resonant radio frequencies. The BCX411 Rife-type frequency instrument has received the highest praise on several continents for its precision, simplicity of operation, and successful research experiment. The BCX, with its comprehensive manual, allows you to select the frequencies you wish to experiment with for the length of time you want to run them. The BCX handheld plasma ray tubes and RF radio carrier wave, like Rife use, are the absolute state-of-the-art in Rife frequency research. For full information and pictures, take the New Earth link at the top of Rense.com. Settle for nothing but the best in Rife research with the BCX411. Again, just take the New Earth link at the top left corner of Rense.com.
Free energy, now!
Welcome back to the show. We are talking with Dave Parker of freeenergyparty.org, and I must say I have been stunned. I'm really enjoying what he has to say and where he's coming from and what he's got backing him. This is a real treat. And I mentioned before the break that when we came back, I wanted to just bring up that right before I got involved in free energy back in 2002, I was involved in a movement right after September 11th that got me going in this called Remnant Saints Intercontinental Congress. I founded it. We had people from all over the world working together, including Joel Skousen. Many of you would recognize that name, son of Cleon Skousen, or not son, he was a nephew of Cleon Skousen, to come up with a document that would basically create a constitution-like document for the world that would be principles of freedom that the world could ascribe to basically give an answer to the socialist United Nations, which is given as the only answer for a world government. There is going to be world government when you have this many nations working together on the level that they are. The question is not if, but what kind. And we wanted to provide the answer of it should be freedom-based, and let's come up with some documents to provide that. And you can still go to rsicc.org, Remnant Saints Intercontinental Congress, and see what we'd come up with. We basically had to put it on the side because none of us could go full-time on this. We didn't have the funding, so it's backburnered. But the documents we came up with may be of interest to what you're doing here, Dave.
Absolutely. I'm very, very keenly interested. From the very beginning, we had people all over the world, and so the Free Energy Party takes off like a Wright Brothers airplane all over the world, viral. And the problem is it tends to go too quick, and we don't want to get – this is so oxymoronic. You don't want to get so big before you have enough backing that you don't want to cause – it's just a paradox, you know, how big you get. When they took that little talk, somebody put it I was saying I did a little talk, and then that's why I didn't do any oratory after that, because someone put it on a Washington website with Obama and other people under there, and then right up above it was the Free Energy Party is going to throw out the political whores out of the White House. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to get killed before I get anything done. But anyway, I'm not paranoid, and I don't think that people are going to just kill you for saying things, because people, they mainly the powers in, and the powers in controlling the market. You know, it's exercised. People can work on things, and they can say pretty much what they want, and the power is mainly exercised in controlling the marketplace.
Let me jump in here really quick if I could.
Yeah.
The Free Energy Party, when I go to Facebook, you have 15,469 members, which is more than double what we have in our Pure Energy Systems news feed. And so, you know, that's, you know, just for speaking of popularity, not that, you know, we're that huge of an entity. We're pretty fringe, but Free Energy Party's pretty fringe too. You've got double the interest on your Facebook page of ours.
Well, it's only been alive for a short while, and it's hard to find. It's put together with V in front of it instead of just like the website, freeenergyparty.org. And there's one out there by a guy who is like, I think, mentally and emotionally challenged, has some difficult history. in Hawaii that tried to use the name, and people said, man, why don't you slam dunk him? You've got the trademarks and the actual incorporation in the state of Hawaii and the Federal Election Commission. I said, we found out a little about him, and we feel sorry for him rambling about the streets in Hawaii, and let him use the name. People, so he took in Free Energy Party I don't want to say it because people will go there and think, but it's another dot something else. So you want to be sure and go to the Free Energy Party without the V, freeenergyparty.org, and look at what's coming together there in coalescing real salient lists of cures showing use of the word cure, which has been forbidden by Big Pharma, for the first time in history, showing 80% cure for cancer, 92% cure for cancer, using the studies there, 98% cure for cancer according to this study, on, and many, many herbs and natural things which completely replace what Big Pharma offers, and this kind of thing, to show that there really is cures out there. And so, and it's too easy to take a tangent, but I just want to say right here on this note, if I can, real quickly, that the FEP tripod is designed to stop the 100-year tyranny wherein the monopoly of the petrochemical industry has taken over with a free market answer. A free market answer would be free energy has to be manufactured. It's a free source. It's a free, abundant resource, like the sunshine, like the magnetism of the earth, like the waves in the sea and the wind in the air. It's like the potential difference between the negative ions in the air and the positive ones in the ground that make the power of lightning. It's a free source, but it requires manufacturing and marketing and distribution and maintenance. And so, we're not just talking about jumping into utopia instantly where no one uses money. The people that talk about getting rid of money, that's a road to microchip implants and national ID cards. You'd better be very careful unless this goes about correctly. Your dream of utopia can turn into a dystopian nightmare controlled by the monopolies very, very quickly. And so we've got to first get rid of monopoly before we come in with Zeitgeist or Venus Project dreams that don't have any plan on how to bring them about other than to hope for the failure of society. And then dream that you get to be... Yes.
Do you want to touch briefly on this underground manufacturing?
Yes. Yes, and I want to do that real quickly because I think time runs short in an hour program. But I wanted to say that the FEP tripod then is, just to conclude if I may, is designed for the free energy to stop when we were talking about 100-year monopolization of like the Standard Oil was with the petrochemical industry. And so the petrochemical industry also with the Monsanto type big agra. And so these big beasts that are big death oil, war over oil, environmental destruction, big death pharma, the fourth leading cause of death is prescription drugs in America. And the third leading cause of accidental death is prescription drugs in America. And there's just more statistics, but let's not get off the subject. And the third wing of it, organic permaculture, that's to stop nature being the enemy, which the cures is nature, and to stop everything where if you can't, it's a patent it or kill it philosophy. So we're talking about economic introductions to make change. We're talking about moving the old money into a new investment, into a new place. And it's basically good capitalism in the sense that capital is neither good nor bad, it's how you use it. So we're looking at moving that. But underground manufacturing, let's discuss it when you're they're ready, you hit me up with whatever.
When we come back from break, we'll talk about underground manufacturing as an alternative method for rolling technologies to market and fuel efficiency technologies.
Whether your alleged government has told you or not, America has been receiving nearly nonstop airborne radiation in one form or another from Fukushima for 3 years in March. And now, with the radioactive polluted mass of the Pacific Ocean about to hit the entire West Coast, you must prepare yourself. The tragedy of Chernobyl resulted in the development of one of the most potent fighters of radiation poisoning known. It's called BioAge Superfood, a blend of the 4 most powerful immune-building, radiation-protecting, Chernobyl-proven algae on the planet. Grown in Kamchatka and imported to the U.S., I have taken BioAge Superfood for nearly 3 years and would never be without it. Go to BioAge.com, mention rents, and get 10% off this essential immune-building product. That's BioAge.com, and mention rents for a 10% discount. BioAge.com.
When you think of getting old, what comes to your mind? Spending the last years of your life in a nursing home? Staring out a window? Medicated to keep you docile? Not able to recognize your own kids? Suffering with some dreaded disease until you die all alone? Well, think again. One of the premier doctors in the world, Dr. James Forsythe, wrote the book Anti-Aging Cures. Life-changing secrets to reverse the effects of aging, your key to the real fountain of youth. And Suzanne Summers, the perpetual face of eternal youth, wrote the foreword. As mentioned in the book, Royal Velvet is the most cost-effective, easiest, and complete way to reverse the effects of aging. It's true. So, do you want glowing skin, less wrinkles, thicker hair, less gray hair, your hormones balanced, improved memory, a toned physique, greater energy, less pain and stiffness, as well as benefits too numerous to name? Go to RoyalVelvetNow.com. Click on the rinse icon in the upper right-hand corner, and within a couple of days, you can be on the path to youthful living. RoyalVelvetNow.com. Your life will never be the same.
Presently, the number 1 technology in our top 5 exotic free energy technologies listing at top5energy.com is what we call hydroxy technology, in which onboard electrolysis creates oxygen and hydrogen. Unseparated, it's also called Brown's gas, or HHO. By then adding this to the fuel, the mileage and horsepower of an engine can be significantly improved while reducing emissions. One of the reasons for this is that Brown's gas breaks down the larger chain fuel molecules so they can be utilized and not exhausted, unburned. There are many companies worldwide that are making and selling these hydroxy systems. We've compiled a list for you at besthydroxytechnologies.com. When you find one you like, be sure to tell them that Sterling Allen of PES referred you. Again, that's besthydroxytechnologies.com.
Free energy, now!
Welcome back. We are talking with Dave Parker of freeenergyparty.org. And Dave, before we talk about underground manufacturing, I just want to kind of finish what you're talking about with free energy being the new basis. Think about it, the petrodollar, the dollar, which is kind of the world currency up till now, has been the petrodollar based on oil and polluting and limited resources, whereas free energy is based on abundance. And I think you're nailing it in identifying free energy as the new economy. So good on you.
Oh, God bless you. Well, a system of abundance has to be introduced. And I would like to refer real quickly, the key about making an aside or a metaphor is not to be there very long. Henry Ford wanted to introduce a $5 day. People opposed him. He proved himself right. People said, you can't be good to the workers. He said, I want the workers to be well enough off to be able to buy one of the cars that they make. And so the bottom line is that sick people are not a productive in a workplace. And the bottom line is that you don't have life, liberty, or the pursuit of happiness if you're dead. a prosperous populace is able to contribute. There's no end to what humanity can accomplish, from making the deserts into gardens, from exploring space. And you'd say, well, this much suffering on the Earth, why explore space? Well, we're not talking about the suffering remaining on the Earth that long. Just a few of our weapons have been, and we're not talking about a socialistic plan either, but redirecting some of the money would allow the workers and the people, the common people, to enter into a new paradigm, a golden era of prosperity. And so it's toward that goal that we work and have faith. You know, we want to make market introductions of free energy, and to replace the petrodollar with free energy, we want to decentralize the grid. And we believe that it will be very popular, I'm sure as you do, to decentralize the grid so that tornadoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, and arbitrarious and capricious governments can't leave you stranded, starving, and dying. And with a decentralized grid, instead of making oil valuable like gold and people worthless like dirt under your feet, we would make oil less valuable and the people precious like gold. And so if the individual homeowner, even people said, well, what about homelessness? What would putting free home power generators on homes that allow you to sell power back up the grid, what does that do? Well, look at it like this. There are 5 times as many empty houses as there are homeless people. That doesn't really sound like much of an argument for eugenicists against population problems. 5 times as many homes, but no one is going to put those homeless people, especially many of them may need to go into drug or alcohol programs. But the point is that who's going to put them in those homes? No one, because that's not good business. But I'll tell you what is good business. If you find any of them in that are not that don't need to go into an alcohol or drug program, that need a leg up, we could probably finance a program where we could put a free energy home power generator in that home to pay the mortgage of that empty home. And then we of course need someone to babysit that. And then people say, well, at some point aren't you going to reach an impasse where there's no one to sell power to? Well, probably talk to us about that in about 30 years of doing it. I mean, power is sold everywhere, all over the world, and people aren't going to be able to get into this real fast and just overwhelmingly in an instant way. And besides, if you're looking at the opportunity to have expansion and growth through an improved economy, through participating and capable and healthy citizens, then now people can stretch out into it'll change how the world is made. Instead of people being packed like sardines in a can because they're into cities like cockroaches, they would be, you know, it's as if they're in those cities because they're plugged in at the neck to some kind of power company beast, the tentacles of some power company. And so if people are instead able to move into the mountains, the beautiful mountains and the beautiful valleys, and into open spaces and into the woods instead of cutting down the forests for
in the oceans.
Yes, into the oceans, under the oceans, above the oceans, floating islands, and the magnificence of it is waiting us. All we need to do is just stand by the dream economically, because if we only talk about idea systems, and then the people who are in control of the economics buying off, and I'm sort of bridging into the underground manufacturing conversation, but if they buy off the new upcoming companies, then there's no way, because of the nature of monopoly, there's no way to reinvest the old money into the new. There's some kind of biblical reference to
new wine can't be put into old bottles.
Yeah, and all of this, and moving the money from the wicked to the righteous, and all of this. And so, how do you do it? And so we've got to move the money somehow. And then I know there's going to be a lot of reactionary people that think that they're revolutionary, but really it's reactionary behavior, and they're going to say, pull the Rockefellers out of their bed, and no. Now you're asking again for a George Soros plan, which is communist revolution, and it's going to lead to FEMA camps and greater dictatorship and a more tight fist of a draconian oil dictatorship over the world. And we've seen enough of this. It's headed now into financing Al-Qaeda with our tax money. Theoretically, right now, anyone postured to the IRS, I'm facing a conflict of law. I could do 20 years for supporting terrorism. It appears that there's a clear connection where Congress approved money that was directly about videotapes of the money being paid to known Al-Qaeda players, and then Al-Qaeda getting a name change to al-Nusra in Syria. And so we're looking at the petrodollar using jihadists and Al-Qaeda as a way to cut people's heads off with our tax money. Please, I don't want to go to prison for supporting terrorism. Show me some indication that this is not taking place so that I'm not in trouble legally and so that I can pay my taxes. And, we've reached a point of insanity in our society and in our world with the destruction of the rainforests. We just continue, and fracking itself. Fracking, Cheney just walks it through the EPA and the FDA being completely bought out by the same players, and it's just very, very sad. We, for the first time in history, need a RICO Act lawsuit pinpointing, and so the Free Energy Party wants to establish a moral high ground, make it very clear in a run for office that exactly who's guilty of what in terms of collusion and racketeering, so that we can get rid of the revolving door in the White House. But when you look at law with regard to manufacturing, the dream of the American dream of free enterprise and the land of opportunity made real in our lives, we see that for about 100 years there's been no progress allowed to transportation except pretty paint jobs and this kind of thing. Many times engineers are paid to make things less efficient. And it's just unbelievable, and it breaks the heart of every old-timer in America to see these built-in obsolescence and on and on. And the way that IP works, IP law, intellectual property, the reason for a confidentiality agreement is because you deserve to have confidentiality at the point where a monopoly is not supposed to be able to just come along and squash you for one. That's, one reason for proprietary information is that, and it's the original purpose for the patent process, not the prostitution or the perversion or the mutation of the patent process. But in the beginning, the idea of it is that you want to keep this in a proprietary state so that the inventor has a chance to get it out there before the big monopoly comes along and just steps on you like a bug and or takes it from you. And in Japan and in China, big companies sometimes see the heavy-handedness over there, where they do cross-licensing. They come, they take your widget, they take it apart, they file a patent after the fact, they approach you and say, well, we know we filed our patent after the fact, but we were working on it a long time. And they said, no, I gave this to you last week. You took it apart. And now you're telling us, so it's a cross-licensing deal. We'll get an injunction against you in the court because we've got a lot of money. And either you're going to sign to give us like 1/4 of your profits over here in Japan. And then we'll assign our technology to you, and you assign your technology to us. It's cross-licensing, and we'll get out of your way. And so that's an organized crime trick and it's been done to great American inventors for ages, but we never hear much about these illegal type tactics. So what do you do to stop this? What do you do to stop the monopolistic suppression of technology? And so restraint of trade, is illegal. And so that's the actual key.
Yeah, we're going to have to maybe take that on as another program. Fascinating stuff. Mm-hmm. Dave, thanks for joining us. We've been talking with the one and only Dave Parker of freeenergyparty.org. Go check it out and get involved.
You've been listening to Free Energy Now, brought to you by PES, Pure Energy Systems. You may access past archives and upcoming show info at freeenergynow.net and join us for our daily news at freeenergynews.com. We invite you to see our directory of energy technologies at peswiki.com. That's peswiki.com. PES, the Pure Energy Systems Information Network.
In 2007, one man, Mike Dillard, made 5 predictions which forecasted the 2008 economic crisis and the pending Eurozone collapse. 3 brand new, shocking, must-watch videos with predictions for the coming year. www.the3videos.com. Over the past year, Mike Dillard has helped thousands of ordinary people create and recover wealth by tapping into the black box investing strategies the big banks don't want you to know about. www.the3videos.com. As the European banking system implodes and governments collapse at breakneck speeds, the next 12 months will be the most anticipated and important months in modern human history. This will make 2008 look like a walk in the park. Everyone will be affected. Go to www.the3videos.com now. Learn how to prepare your family and prosper during the global financial collapse.
Known worldwide as the most consistently fascinating, informative, and unique program on radio, the Jeff Rense program can be yours to listen to anytime, anywhere, whenever you want to hear it. For pennies a day, our subscribers can download any of Jeff's thousands of programs featuring a treasury of newsmakers, researchers, eyewitnesses, and incredible subjects, all in MP3 commercial-free, crystal-clear 56-bit digital sound, and take these often unforgettable programs with them wherever they go. As a subscriber, you can also listen live at airtime, online, anywhere in the world, or browse through our archives of over 6,000 hours of legendary broadcasts. Subscribe now by taking the link at the top of Rense.com and enrich your mind with the most unique panorama of vital information and the best independent, honest journalism in radio. Look for the Subscribe Now link on Rense.com and give yourself the knowledge you need for these unprecedented times. You're listening to the Rense Radio Network, nationwide and worldwide on the net and at Rense.com.
Heading the news this week is a story that I don't yet have linked up, that is composed, is being reviewed by the company for their final approval and edits. You are being the first to hear this on this program right now, one of the most important developments we have ever announced. New third-party test results on solar hydrogen trends shows over 1,000 times over unity. Solar Hydrogen Trends just got their third set of third-party test results on their hydrogen production from water technology. A world-class engineering firm, one of the top 20-30 engineering firms on the planet, measured 97% hydrogen output from water input, which means some of the oxygen or most of the oxygen is going to hydrogen through some kind of a nuclear process. And much more than 2,800 liters per minute output from just 414 watts input, making this perhaps the most promising technology on the planet. That will be up at PESN with the date July 3rd, 2014, appropriate inasmuch as Thomas Jefferson penned the Declaration of Independence on July 2nd, and they received their results on July 2nd, 2014. Also, our guest today is appropriate for the July 4th period of time, which is tomorrow, talking about the Free Energy Party. Again, that will be after this Week in Free Energy recap. As a follow-up from last week's interview on this program, Martin Berger of Blue Energy Alchemy said, quote, "I made gold for the Oslo investors. Quote, I believe I'll have $10 million closed before August. That will be more than enough to get into a forward selling points. So we're producing bars of gold at a rate that we'll be able to self-finance." Exciting stuff. That's also probably involving
Free Energy Now.
Imagine a world in which each home has its own power generator that obtains its energy in such a way that no fuel has to be added. Imagine every vehicle being able to run without ever stopping for fuel. Imagine each appliance having its own power source that never has to be recharged. That is the world of the future. Join with us now as we track our progress towards such a world.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Sterling Allen. You can join us online at freeenergyquest.com or freeenergynow.net. We're joined today, July 3rd, 2014, by Dave Parker of freeenergyparty.org in the United States. We will be talking about underground manufacturing as an alternative method for rolling technology to the market. Also talking about fuel efficiency technology and talking about the Free Energy Party as a serious endeavor. But first, before we get into that, let's do our This Week in Free Energy recap. First cold fusion device prototype was constructed, and other cool technologies from this very prolific inventor. Go check out that feature page on that website. Storn, which has been in our top 5 for years, posted a video of them fabricating some of their HEPA heat units where they're getting over unity heat more energy out than input because it's harnessing the wheelwork of nature. You want to check out that video. Platinum Invest, also one of our top 5, could get a new sponsor. Lazio, apparently a big name in Europe. Not familiar to me here in the United States. Check out those stories. And we fell for a perpetual pendulum for a day or so. It looked interesting. It seemed to have a working prototype. And I asked the question of, I'd like to see this thing to rule out any trickery. And somebody pointed out that the guys who post these videos, VE Project 1, the number 1 on YouTube, post them as hoaxes, and they state as much on their website. Nuclear transmutation in that alchemical process, turning beer bottles as a basically catalytic process into gold and other precious metals through a microwave and temperature process. Fascinating stuff. You want to go listen to that interview from last week. Ultraconductors resurfacing, polymer equivalents of room temperature superconductors. Quote, we have realized we can make ultraconductor tape as an interim product within 2 years with a budget of $10 million. Also, we have invented a potential near-term product based on the thin film we already know how to fabricate, says Mark Goldis. This is a technology that's been percolating for 15, 20 years. I was looking at some of their third-party test results from the Department of Defense and others from 2 decades ago, and those are available to interested parties. Just ask and he'll send them to you. Resurrecting Oleg Gritskyevich hydromagnetic dynamo out of Russia 22 years before Pons and Fleischmann.